Good evening, welcome to the Glazov gang. Once again, I'm not Jamie Glazov, I'm Josh Brewster filling in for Jamie Glazov. The Glazov gang is brought to you by the David Horowitz Freedom Center, and thanks so much for watching here at frontpagemag.com. Tonight, my special guests, as Jamie calls them, the Dream Team. This week's Dream Team, Susanne Olson, radio host, two chicks talking politics, and of course some 70s show that I can't remember the name of, even though I watched it thousands of times. Next to Susan, Dwight Schultz, Murdoch from the A-Team. There he is, folks, Dwight Schultz, fansite.nl. And next to me over here, Susanne Reyto, author of Pursuit of Freedom, a book that I read this week, and I strongly encourage anyone who's watching this to go out and get a copy of immediately. You won't believe that story. Okay, folks, ready to talk some politics tonight?
Sure.
And you know at some point I'm going to roll out the jihad talk, so just sit tight. We got a couple of, you know that's coming, right, folks? We got a couple of topics that are pressing. I always like to start with a couple of news items. Janet Napolitano, the feds, they're being sued by by ICE agents. They're being sued. The feds are being sued because the border agents are saying you're asking us to enforce some laws and you're asking us to overlook some other laws. And I've spoken about on this show about the borders. I feel very strongly Arizona tries to enforce federal law just the way that you enforce burglary laws, and they're shot down by Holder and the Department of Justice. California is writing a law right now. They want to pass it that says if you haven't committed a felony and you're here illegally, we're not doing anything. And then you've got the ICE agents who are now suing the feds. So why don't we start with Susanne Olson. Susan, what are your thoughts about our what I perceive to be open borders in a great sense?
This was my first rant on Facebook, which got me a bad reputation. You know, my aha moment when I realized that we'd gone through the looking glass was right after the Arizona bill, and I watched Congress give a standing ovation to the president of Mexico when he came over here to complain about how we were going to enforce our border laws. And everybody gave him a standing ovation. So it's like, okay, now we're in bizarro world. And, you know, people say, well, we need better immigration laws, yada, yada. No, we don't. We have very good immigration laws. We just need to enforce them. And anybody who thinks that the people who are not enforcing the immigration laws are doing it because they really care about the people that are coming over the border, well, I have some magic beans I'm going to be selling on eBay. I'll let you know when they're out.
All right, very good. Dwight Schultz, what are your thoughts on our borders?
Well, very similar to what Susan just said. But I think that we have to be proactive about this. We know that there are X number of illegal immigrants in our prisons, and X number of illegal immigrants who are perpetrators of violent crimes. If you are a municipality and you open your municipality with some kind of what is the word they use? They call them sanctuary cities?
Yeah, sanctuary cities.
If you open your municipality as a sanctuary city,
San Francisco,
and someone crosses, let's say San Francisco, and someone crosses the border in New Mexico, makes it to San Francisco, and on the way or anywhere in the United States commits a violent crime, then San Francisco must be sued for murder because they have invited. Because you do not know.
They have given sanctuary.
And we have to be proactive in this way. We have to get lawyers involved because, let's face it, it's all about litigation right now. We have to make it clear that if there is a crime, you are responsible because you're saying it's okay to come here. Come across the border, come here. Once you make it here, you're safe. What happens between New Mexico and here, we don't care. I believe that is negligent and criminally negligent.
There's a lot of issues of chain migrations and uncontrollable chain migration once someone gets in and then they get their kids in the schools. And it's a complete mess. And I love to bring up these kind of topics, folks, because, again, I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. The simple fact of the matter is you got to worry about your country. Susanne, what do you think about this?
This is America. We need to protect it. For example, on the southern border, Mexico, they have gun-toting soldiers, and if anybody comes across, they'll shoot them. if anybody's at the northern border coming to the U.S., they push them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is how we need to, our first defense is the border patrol and to close the borders, because no matter what we try to do, once they're here, we have, instead of having 15 million, maybe we'll have 16 million. We need to close it and start from now.
What's concerning me is in our national discourse, you know, for instance, we'll talk about this later, you know, Obama drops the word jihad, Obama drops the word terrorist, etc. Well, what's the word we're dropping now, folks? Illegal.
Yeah,
I mean, even mainstream media outlets won't use the word illegal.
Do you
it's
know the
undocumented.
illegal
Like David Horowitz says, it's not like that they lost their papers. They're here illegally.
Yes.
Go ahead, Susan. You continue.
Well, I mean, when did illegal become a race? You know, I'm
Yeah, no,
accused
I
of
know.
being racist for saying
that you
I'm
should have a
against
grievance.
illegal immigration, and I say, hey, if they were Norwegians coming over, and I'm Norwegian, you know, I would be just as upset. And people go, no, you wouldn't. And also, get rid of the incentive. Why don't we punish the businesses that are hiring these?
Yeah, I agree with this
That's
completely.
because that's why we're letting this happen.
There's one thing I want to say real quick. I worked for a major hotel company, the world's biggest, and I can tell you right now that they love illegals. The fact of the matter is, it keeps wages low. You can keep people at $8-9 an hour forever. They love it. Corporate America loves illegals, and that's part of the equation. I'm
Yes.
sorry to say it, and I'm not down on
Very
big
much
business.
so.
I need a job, but the fact is, they love illegals. I'm
The
sorry.
tragedy is that instead of paying the higher salary up front, we're really paying it in the back, because we're
That's
paying
right.
for education,
right.
health care, and all of these things, and controlling the criminal act with all the policing.
Yep.
So instead of paying $8 salaries, but then paying for the rest of it, we should pay a little more up front,
Get an
and then
American.
we don't have to pay all the rest, and it'll probably in the end cost us less.
Right, get an American or someone who's here who can work legally.
But changing.
Dwight, continue. Then we'll go to Susan.
But the literally, you're talking about the word illegal. You do remember it was several months ago that there were several groups that came forward and actually wanted to do away with the word illegal.
Oh, sure.
They
They
did.
are that. Yes, they are that open about it. But progressives, the Henry Wallace progressives, are famous for changing the definition of words in midstream. And since we have the entire media on their side, they do it. And then we, for some reason, fall to our knees and say, all right, we'll do
right.
away with the word illegal, we'll find something else. And then political correctness comes in, and we're afraid. We are frightened
Yeah.
to be called racists.
Yeah. And by the way, before I go to Susan, that is one of the things that anyone who's anti-American will always use against us, which is the fact that we don't want to offend. Sometimes I worry that we're more worried about offending than that somebody might come over here and kill us or something.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Susan. I'm sorry.
Well, also the American contractor can't compete.
That's correct.
With the contractor who hires
That's correct.
illegal.
That's
so,
correct.
you know, our standard of living goes down. And believe me, I have nothing against it, because I've worked in very, not so glamorous jobs as a graphic artist, and I've worked with illegal immigrants, and they're the hardest working people you've ever met. They do beautiful
Yes.
work. I love them. Nothing against them. It's against our government for these laws.
No, it really is. You get what you tolerate, and there's absolutely no question. You get what you put up
being
with.
illegal. What's wrong with why can't we understand illegal? It's the
Yeah.
wrong thing.
And I'll
we
add
are
this.
trying to promote a legal society. We're
right.
a lawful
That's right.
nation, and why are we allowing illegal anything? Illegal anything is
Citizens
unlawful.
have to come first, and that, by the way, that means Mexican Americans have to come before illegals.
But
and
wait
this
a
is
minute.
not just about Mexicans, by the way.
but-
Mexican American. Let's not use any
No,
hyphenated.
but what I'm saying
But-
is, no,
but
I know,
the-
what I'm saying is, Americans of Mexican descent, they have to come before illegals too. It's not like when you talk about this. Oh, I'm standing up for white people. That's nonsense.
But we
I'm
have
not, you
we
know
have
what
a
I mean?
president, and I mean we have a lot of children in this country. Right now, we have a president who has said, "I'm not going to enforce these laws because I choose not to," and that's illegal, actually. And
correct.
and
That's
and
correct.
the example for the rest of us in this country. Why should anyone obey the law if the President of the United States is going to say, I'm not going to? And I want to tell you this. He is doing this on purpose because he is, by definition of all that he's done, foremost a provocateur. He is attempting to force people in this country, and you're seeing it, I don't know, but in the military right now. There are members of the United States military who are coming forth and who are challenging the president and this administration. It's not good. It's unlawful, and it's destructive to our children, because kids know that if the president doesn't have to follow the law on a whim, I don't have to do it.
I want to close with this tonight, folks. There's no question in my mind that any president of Mexico, this one, the next one, the one after that, Vicente Fox in the past, and all the ones present and future, of course, they're going to want us to be lax on our immigration laws. Why? Because the fact of the matter is, remittances are a huge part of the Mexican economy. Just talking about Mexico for a second here, because they're on a southern border. Remittances are huge. And for us to be a safety valve, we're a welfare program for Mexico, because the fact of the matter is, folks, Mexico has failed its people. It has failed them over and over and over again, and I'm not too guilty to say something about it. Second segment, tomorrow night, folks, we're going to talk about rage against the useful idiots, and we're also going to talk about the Muslim Students Association, so be sure to tune in tomorrow night.